Hello, and welcome to Episode 8 of the Midwest Gaming Classic Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Garris, panel director of the Midwest Gaming Classic. Join Stern pinball designer Keith Elwin as he shares how the awesome-looking and fun-to-play Iron Maiden Legacy of the Beast pinball machine came together in this informative panel. Didn't know there was an Iron Maiden pinball machine? Here's what Stern has to say about it on their website. The Iron Maiden pinball machines aim to reflect the same excitement, energy, and experience of a live Iron Maiden concert. Players will immerse themselves in an interactive Iron Maiden universe, transforming into various forms of Eddie, the band's legendary mascot. Players, as Eddie, will embark on a quest to defeat the Beast and his minions across the Legacy of the Beast mobile game and comic book world. Iron Maiden Pinball entertains with an amazing array of modern and classic features, making it suitable for all skill levels. All models include 12 Iron Maiden songs, with players going to battle as Eddie with the help of 4 flippers, 2 spinners, a set of 3 bank drop targets, metal and wireform ramps, a captive ball mechanism, a dual up-post lock mechanism, and a center bullseye target. Enough of me talking. Let the Iron Maiden Legacy of the Beast design team explain how they put this great game together.
All right, we're going to get started with our panel presentation on the making of the Iron Maiden pinball machine. Hopefully, how many of you have had a chance to try that so far? All right. Yeah, you brought what, like 3 of them? Couple? All right. But first, Gary gave us something to start off the presentation with here, so we'll do that.
Hello, is this thing on? Thanks, everyone. I guess we'll start by introducing the design team. Keith Elwin, designer, came up with the rule set. And to my left here is Harrison.
Hi, it's Keith. I'm Harrison Drake. So I'm the lead mechanical engineer on the project. Obviously, first game of first pinball game I've made. So, yep.
I did the art on this one. This is my second game.
Wait, what's your name?
Zombie. Jeremy Packer. It's not as interesting. This is my second game with Stern. Really the only two that count. And I drew things and got them approved with the help of Greg Ferreras.
Hi, my name is Jerry Thompson. I'm the sound designer on the game. So every sound in the game I have to provide and do the mixing, and then on to Rick here.
Yep. Rick Nagel, lead software engineer, basically implementing Keith's rule set and helping these guys implement other stuff in the game.
Brett Rubin, systems software engineer, came on to work with the artists and get all the display working.
Hi, my name is Tim Sexton. I'm a support software engineer on the Iron Maiden team. I did a lot of the speech integration and light shows and some other miscellaneous code stuff on the game.
Oh, hiding in our audience is our animator, Chuck Ernst. So if you see anything that sucks, all right. So we don't have much of a presentation because we haven't quite been approved for all the LE stuff. So this is mostly going to be a Q&A. Going to be taking a lot of questions if you guys have any. That's pretty much it. We're going to send our resident MC, Tim Sexton, around with prizes. So ask a question, get a prize. We have Gary Stern bobbleheads. We have Stern t-shirts. We have hats, both large and small. And we also have a big grab bag of plastics. You guys are welcome after the seminar to just come up and grab what you want.
Okay, I'm going to ask the first question here. I'm Uris. My first question that I got for you, Keith, is, I've heard a lot about your Green Arrow game. I have yet to see it, but how much of a Green Arrow influenced Iron Maiden?
Green Arrow.
Archer.
Archer.
It's a bow and arrow.
I was with them all.
We were using code words.
Yeah. So Archer was a big passion project of mine. So my goal was to do something that it hadn't really been done, which in my opinion was a 4-flipper flow game. So when I thought of Archer, I thought, fast car chases, fast ramps, fast loops. And so I came up with the design I came up with, and I was pretty happy with it. But then when I got to Stern, I got a chance to redo some things I didn't like. And the main things were I hated the scoop that I had in front of the pop bumpers, because first of all, half the time it just came right back out because it was so close. And I didn't like how tight the shot through the jets to the ramp was. So all that kind of worked itself out, because I don't know if you heard the Coast to Coast podcast, but since I kind of cheated in my Archer design, I made it a little bit longer than a standard playfield. So when I corrected that with the help of George, it opened up that left ramp beautifully. And then we did move everything a little bit closer, then that scoop had to go. And that was the best thing I did, because I hated that thing. The Newton ball on the LE and the target on the Pro are much more fun to shoot. So I loved doing Archer. I still have it, and it was great to go back and revisit it and make Iron Maiden.
Next question.
Wait. We got a prize for you.
This is one of those ask a question, get stuff deals. So,
first of all, unbelievable job, guys. Just unbelievable top to bottom, I think. I bought the game. I'm just curious, did the band pick the music? Really great selections.
So basically, I was given a list of about 20, 25 songs. And so I looked at the list. Honestly, I'd never listened to that much Iron Maiden, but I knew of their lore. I knew the artwork. So I was drawn to that from the beginning. So when I looked at the songs, I looked at the lyrics. I was like, what can I do with these? And some of the songs I looked at, like Phantom of the Opera, Iron Maiden, is like, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. But then I looked at Fear of the Dark, Aces High. It's like, okay, I can design a mode around these. So basically, it was just kind of a matter of just picking off, songs that were both popular, that were on this list, that I could do something I thought would be different. I wanted them all to be completely different. So like Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, it was totally different than Aces High, which is totally different. So, I was trying to create all these different worlds. So that's basically how I came up with the 12 songs.
I've got kind of a follow-up to a statement you made. How many here have bought the game? And how many of you have one of the ones that technically owns one of the ones that's in play right now? Okay.
Congratulations on a awesome game. That is a reaction that I've heard from just every single person. But my question is two quick questions. Is there ever going to be a video mode?
No.
That's kind of what I thought. And the center shot is that is there a magnet there that can catch the ball?
No, it's basically a 3-segment target. So it detects which zone you hit it in. So there's really nothing else we can do with it because there's switches and wiring and all that behind it.
Right.
So yeah, it's a bullseye target. You can hit the center and the inner ring and outer ring, but yeah, it doesn't do anything fancy.
Next one is back here.
Yeah, it's a game, and I have no concept of what it takes to put something like that together. So I was hoping you could tell us, like, when you thought of this, how long ago you thought of it, and then what the sequence of events is to end up with something like that.
I'm sorry, missed the first part of your question?
So how long did it take to come up with this, first of all, and then what is the sequence of events from concept to actually having something you can play? How does that all go together? I see you guys, but how do you all work together to make that happen?
So I was brought on in March of last year, and George loved the Archer layout I came up with. So he's like, okay, we want to do this, even though Gary's going to hate it because it has more than 2 flippers. So the entire time I'm doing it, Gary's breathing over my shoulder. Nobody's ever going to use these flippers. Everybody hates upper flippers. So if you see Gary, tell him how much you love the upper flippers. Yeah. This might be my last game. So I was brought in there. I basically worked by myself for the first 3-4 months. I didn't have a mechanical engineer, software. Well, I had a kind of a part-time engineer, but then he kind of left the project, and then we hired this guy, fresh out of Purdue. And so I started working with him. We built a whitewood. When was that, July? August. Our first whitewood was in August. And it pretty much shot the way we thought it was going to shoot, and there weren't really any major changes we did. Yeah, the first one we built to have the scoop on it, even though I didn't really want to put it on. And first time I shot it, I'm like, nope, I'd rather have a stand-up target. And then Rick came on. Rick, when did you come on? All right, so both of you guys about the same time? June, August. So Rick come on, but the whitewood wasn't quite done, so I felt bad for him because he basically just had to stare at existing code for a month before he could actually do anything. So I imagine that was pretty boring, but once we had the whitewood flipping, he went to town, and then second whitewood came, and we just kind of refined it. We made some changes to the ramps to make them smoother. What else? Not much, right? Yeah.
A lot of post removals.
Yeah, just a bunch of minor tweaks. And then Jeremy started on the project. You might know him. He says he started before that.
Well, you actually had some of the rules and everything sort of laid out
Grab a mic.
If there was just an audio guy that could help you.
No, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You want to hold it? No, I'm just kidding. No, the way I recall it was you actually. I had been working on something else, and was sort of parlayed over. And you actually had, before there was even a whitewood, when you just still had your archer in there, you had actually had sort of planned out ideas of rules and shots and everything, and it approached me about doing it. And I said, "Oh, you've got a lot of this stuff done. I don't have to think." Yeah, I'm on board, and that's how I remember it happening. But it was about that same time that the first whitewood came in, I think, that we started.
Yeah, and then I think by the time our third white and final whitewood came in, we got an unsung hero of Stern is Corey Stoop. Right there. Stand up, Corey. This guy writes more code than you can believe. You ask him for a mode, it's there like 2 days later. All right, try this. Oh, okay. Yeah, it works. Great. Now I need this. 2 days later, we got another mode, and that's kind of how we worked. Him and Rick worked diligently to get the game where it is, and I think they did a great job. And who am I forgetting? Oh, Jerry came in very late. Yeah. So we had the songs for a while, but we had no sounds, so it was kind of weird to play for a while.
So I started with the songs. We do edits of those. You have to do loops in Pinball, because if you walk away from it, you can't have the song or whatever is playing run out and have silence. So everything loops, and so those have to be perfect so that they're seamless. So I started with those, and then eventually we changed the way we did the song so that now you hear the whole song, and if you drain, it comes right back to where you drain, so you don't even notice. I mean, it's a really great. Mark, one of the engineers, came up with that, so it's really smooth when you play the game. The songs don't interrupt. You don't have to start over when you lose the ball. So sometimes if the art is done, like on Ghostbusters, I would look at the play field and say, okay, well, there's a city there, so the pop bumpers should sound like the city with horns and things like that. But since Jeremy hadn't finished the art yet, I had to go by Keith's ideas for things. So mainly I start with music and then switch sounds, or the basic sounds. I have to provide every sound in the game. So if you press the start button and you have no coins, or if you put in coins or flipper buttons, every switch on the playfield has to have a sound. And then after all that stuff is done, and once the video starts getting in from Chuck, then I take the videos and I marry sound to those. When the planes are flying or bullets are going by or whatever's happening on the screen that you see, I have to match sound to that, and then they put the sound in to go with the video, and it all comes together. So, and then we go and listen to everything, make good volume adjustments, and make sure everything is balanced. And so that's about where we are right now. The code is pretty far along. Glad you enjoy the game. Thank you for playing it. Thank you for buying it and supporting Stern Pinball, and for giving us a job.
And lastly, we had Brett come in. He does our UI. He's the one that made it so you can actually read it. You read your scores. So he's doing a great job, and he's working on the Egyptian cartouche stuff, something special we have planned for 1.0. So take a bow, Brett.
There are no serifs in the game. I don't speak French. I implement all the art that Chuck and his team put together. So we have a good lot extra to put in between now and then. Between now and Monday.
All right, so that was the long version of that answer.
All right. Just as a follow-up, can you tell us the original genesis of this project? Did this start with Stern approaching the band, or did the band approach Stern?
Well, I have no idea. That's a Jody question, if he's here.
I know the answer to that.
Why don't you just come up here?
We're going to test the strength of the stage here.
I lost weight. Hello, testing. The licensing is interesting in that a lot of the times it comes from a suggestion from the team, or if it's a band they're into. In this particular case, Jody is really an Iron Maiden fan, and we had a couple other guys on the team, like Tanyo and company, that were Iron Maiden fans. And so it kind of starts with like the team going, I really like this band, look into this band and talk to the marketing and licensing and see if they would be interested in it, how hard is it for them to get it and the license. And in this case, Iron Maiden was on board with it because we have a pretty good track record for having some, AAA bands. You have your Rolling Stones, and then you got your Guns N' Roses and things like that. So these guys are kind of on that level. And then they basically approached Iron Maiden and worked out the deal. So, so we approached them. There are very few bands come to us. Or if they might, some of the bands like Metallica have a relationship with some people on the team and things like that. That's how some of those things happen. That's good question.
I would say no, because since we just started shipping 2 weeks ago, but they had a lot of just ask Jeremy. Just ask Jeremy how much fun he had.
The best time I ever had. No, I'll just add to what Chuck said. So I actually had done some stuff with the band long ago. So Jody was able to kind of use that, and I guess that's how I got suckered into it. But so we had a working relationship with one of, at least I knew one of the guys there, who was nice. But yes, they have a brand, and they've been making music for like 50, 60, 80 years. And it's approaching. I'm not really good with math either. And I think if you notice what's going on outside in their space, they have a mobile game, they have a comic book, they have all this stuff going on. So I just add that my job was actually taking the expectations of fans with sort of the broad range of new direction. They were taking the property itself, like the band itself, as a property. And I had to make it all work together and not fail. Because otherwise I'd be here and you guys would be like, Iron Maiden, And thankfully, I had the assistance of Greg Freris to bounce F words off of. And I'm joking, it wasn't that bad. But it was the legendary Greg Freris. Greg, stand up, will you? We make everybody stand up. Come on, Greg. But no, it was the whole team. These youngsters here have been just great to work with. I've got a lot more gray hair than I did when I started this, but it was fun and it's been rewarding.
Along those lines, a lot of the time when there's a theme like this, band members or whoever the licensees are request special modifications for their own personal games. Are you aware of any of those for their personal units, or if they are receiving personal units?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Can I make one up? Can I? No.
All right, I had another question over here.
At some point, did any of you get to meet the band members during this, and exactly how specific was the band members' input into the final product?
I'll try to answer that with as much honesty as possible. That means I'm going to lie. No, we actually it was Lyman, Jody, myself, and I believe John Borg was there too. Keith got sick. They came out to play in Chicago, and we were supposed to go and meet him. And Keith got sick, or at least he pretended to play sick.
He didn't seem sick. I saw him. He was at work that day. But like he's like, I'm sick. I can't go. And I'm like, you look fine. You're here. Why aren't you at home if you're sick? Whatever. He didn't go. He chickened out. And actually, Lyman, side story, Lyman went to buy a beer and he got kicked out. He couldn't get back in, so he had to stand on the grass for the rest of the time. Anyway. There's more to that story too. But fun time to be had by all. But in that, at that point, the game was still sort of, it didn't exist really. So we just got, cushy treatment and got to go watch them, and it was great and it was fun. As far as the band's input on the game, yeah, they got input on the game. There's multi-tiered areas, but it comes down to, is it Rob? Is Rob the guy I'm thinking of? Yeah, Rob. Yeah, there's a lot of people in particular that had a lot to do with it. But yeah, they have input, and actually sometimes their input is really great, and then other times their input is fantastic. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm sure Chuck has a few stories.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Hello, testing. Yeah, there were the directives that we got from the team, at least for the video, was it seemed like it was kind of guided from the idea of expanding their brand and looping in really fantastic images that they could put into their style guide to help guide other products and things like that. So they're thinking big picture, toys, future posters and things like that. So this for them wasn't just a pinball machine. It was also a way to kind of expose new generations to their brand essentially. So for their input, for at least for the video assets, were make it look like our stuff but better. And it's like it's real vague. You're like, yeah, it's cool, but make it look better. Okay, what's better? I don't know, but just make it look cool. I'm like, okay, that make it cool and better. All right, got that. We'll dial the cool button and push the butter button, and then we're all good. So there was some of that where you'd make something, and was it the feedback they had for Aces? Can you spruce it up a bit? Was the feedback for that?
Jazz it up, I guess.
Oh no, yeah, it was jazz it up. Because when you think of jazz, you think of Iron Maiden with the jazzing. So yeah, so we all just jazz hands while we worked on that. So yeah, they have input, and the funny thing is, when they give you feedback, your initial reaction is like, rats. I have to redo this, and then the second reaction is like, yeah, they're right, and I should have caught that. So you kind of, it's different if you work with a licensor or somebody that's just making changes for the sake of changes, but they were right 99.9% of the time. So it's to kind of keep you on your toes, and it also makes us realize we need to double, triple, quadruple check everything. Like in the case of the Aces Eddie. All the Eddies have stitches in their heads, except for Ace's Eddie. So if you ever drawing Eddie on your Trapper Keeper notebook or something, keep that in mind when you draw the Ace's Eddie, because he doesn't have stitches. So we have to go back in and erase the stitches and re-render all those videos and things like that, because they caught that and we should have caught that. So it's those kind of things. So I know entirely too much about Eddie now than I wanted to know.
Yeah, our biggest fear, we were putting voices to characters which have no voice. So they wanted us to use Clairvoyant and the Beast, but they didn't have any idea what they wanted. So we auditioned this guy, I'm sure Jerry can fill this in, I think his name's Rick. He nailed it on the first try. But then for the Clairvoyant, they're like, no, and we're starting to get late in the production. And we still haven't submitted the script. We submit the script, which has a lot of, I put a lot of funny things in there. I don't know if you've heard them all, but there's some funny things there. We weren't sure how they were going to react to Eddie playing a 6-neck guitar and, stuff like this. But then they called us, they're like, why is he doing that? And I thought it was funny. And they're like, yeah, it is funny. Cool. So after that, we got through that. But yeah, the voiceover and script was my biggest fear, but they were cool with it.
Did the band do their own voiceovers?
No, the main voice is named Rick Zeef. He's an actor in LA, and he does I can't remember. He does a character on the Tom and Jerry show, and he does several other things. But he's actually, if you would never know it because he's very good and very versatile. If you played Batman, he's the narrator voice when you start Batman. He is the William Dozier impersonator. And the girl is one of his friends there that works with him named Kate in LA. So we're probably going to use him on several more things because he's very talented and very versatile. And Rick Zeef is his name. And like Keith said, we told him what we wanted. That was what we got the first time, and we're like, yep, this is it. So everybody seems to like what he did.
This question is for Keith. I was curious, as a player, what did you put into Iron Maiden that reflects what you like to play in pinball? Like, how did you make this world that is one that you like to play as a player?
My favorite thing is kind of risk reward. And the thing I hate the most is if I'm playing a game and if I'm playing somebody and they have a 10-minute ball, and that means that I have to have a 10-minute ball to beat them. I don't like that. I would rather have a game where, hey, I can use this strategy to get myself back into the game, whereas they use some different strategy. So my rule set has a lot of risk-reward elements with like the power jackpot, the loop jackpot, even a playfield multiplier. If you strategically use those together, you can put up a great score that doesn't necessarily take you 10 minutes of chopping wood. So that was my philosophy designing the rule set. And I just want to do something fun, fast. You can finish the game, half hour, 35 minutes, and you're always in the game. I don't want the player to ever feel like they're out of it.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Would you say the code feels super polished for a game that you just shipped? What percentage do you feel like, to your original vision of what you want the code to be, is the code at now?
The code itself is 99% there. We're still waiting on some asset go-aheads from the band, which is why we are at 0.92. But as soon as those assets get approved, we can activate the code for those modes, and we're pretty much there. There's one other mode that I want to put in, kind of a hidden wizard mode. So I don't really want to spoil it too much, but I want to let the players. I kind of took the approach that Mario Odyssey took, where you can beat Bowser if you just run through the game, you can beat Bowser in 10 hours. But once you beat him, you still have 400 other stars you need to collect. So that's kind of the approach I took with this game. You can run straight through, you can beat the beast, but the game's not over at that point. There's some more hidden things you can do to actually beat the game itself. So I'm hoping that people will appreciate that. If they actually do beat the beast, they're not done with it. There's another level, and that's for you to discover.
So Keith, I'm sorry. Are you saying you 100%ed Mario Odyssey?
I did. I love that game.
Me too.
All right, Keith. Did you design up from the Pro up to the Limited, or did you start with the Limited and take stuff out to the Pro? Because obviously the different trim levels. Which is your design philosophy?
So for the Pro, I'm an operator. I still have games in LA on location. And so my goal for the Pro was something reliable without any really fancy mix. I thought, it was my goal to make something that wouldn't have really fancy mix that would be reliable. So we went the metal ramps, the metal wireforms, the metal inlanes. I hate the plastic inlanes, by the way. So I went with the metal inlanes. The mech in there, it's fairly simple, the bullseye target on the Pro. So my goal is just use the entire bomb for the 4 flippers, the bullseye target, the spinners, everything that's, basic old-fashioned pinball. And then keep everything, all the fancy stuff for the premium LE. So that answers your question. And to clarify, yeah, I started with the LE and worked way down to the Pro.
I have a question about the when you're talking about the sounds and how every switch needs a sound, and every mode, of course, you need those sound bites. When you're designing the entry level switch sounds, are you trying to make a more complex sound, or is it just a few milliseconds? Kind of what's going through your design process to get those that initial bass, and then you have to, of course, have the more complex things later?
Really, it boils down to what I think it should sound like. And I'm a collector player. I started collecting 20 years ago, so I'm a pinball player, and I just try to do what feels right to me. And if I do my job well, you don't really notice it. But if it's not good, then you go, that just doesn't sound right. So I try to make it just blend and feel good. The orbits, I usually do some kind of sweep sound because the ball is traveling around. Switches, if they drain, sometimes you'll get like a down a sound that starts up and goes down, just to mimic what's happening with the ball. Ramps, same thing, you up and around. Spinners are a challenge because you literally have half a second to 0.75 because it spins so fast, so it has to be a really short sound. So I was really happy with the way the spinner turned out on Star Wars, and because it sounds like Star Wars. And the spinners on this, Keith actually, the pop bumpers on this, because Eddie's and chains over there, the pop bumpers have a bit of chains to them rattling. But everything, drop targets, slingshots, all that stuff needs to have an impact, because if you don't have that, then you don't want to hear the mechanical part louder than what's actually happening. So when you hit a drop target, you want to hear some thud or an impact or something like that. So all of those kind of impact switches will usually have a deep hit to them or some kind of effect like that. But it's just it's really what I look at the play field and think what this should sound like to me, and then we put it in, and Keith will say, yeah, I don't know, I like this better here, or can you do this? It's kind of I like collaborating, but it starts with what I think it should sound like, and then morphs from there. So is that good? That cover? Okay.
And yes, we're working on a new knocker sound.
Yes, he let the cat out of the bag. We're working on a new knocker sound.
Just for Iron Maiden or for all games? All.
We don't like it either.
Other questions? Be there in a minute.
This question is kind of for everybody. I was curious if each of you could say what your favorite part of the game actually is.
Sword.
Art.
Stuff that isn't public yet.
Whoa.
You tease.
When are we going to find out what is in public?
So anyway, the question was. I love everything about it.
Ooh. It's not a cop-out. My favorite part is the Trooper multi-ball, just because that's the one I worked on. Oh yeah, and the art, of course.
Pretty much any multi-ball mode. I haven't played every inch of the game, and this past week I was playing the new mode, Cyber Multi-Ball, one of the wizard modes, and I think I had 5 balls in play, so that was pretty cool.
Cheater.
I play with no glass on. And a computer hooked up so I could start modes. But 5 balls in play.
I like that it's almost done. This is my kind of. No, I think it's probably one of the best looking games we've made yet, and I like how that Brett is putting in a lot of artwork for us instead of us. Brett's got a pretty good eye for interface and animation and things like that, and he kind of runs with it, and there's a level of polish with the interface that we haven't had before too. So, it's definitely been a learning experience integrating the screen with the gameplay and making it seem like these things all exist under the same hood. And I think this game kind of has gotten the closest yet to a perfect combination of cabinet art and video and sound and sound and interface. So it's I'm pretty proud of it.
And we did it completely sans serif.
All right.
Hi, down
Other
here.
questions?
I have one more. Down here, I'm Tim Sexton. I'm on the game, too. I like the fact that when I play the game, there's nothing that it's like, ugh, this part. Like, everything, all the modes are good, all the multi-balls are good. So, like, the whole game, you know what you're going to do next, and it's fun. And as a player who wants to play these games in tournaments, I don't want to do the same thing every single game. I want to do all the stuff, and I want it to be fun, and it is.
And he really loves the light shows. So when the Twippies come around, best light shows, Tim Sexton.
I have a basic design question because I don't understand how that really works. When you're designing a new pinball and you're getting to the whitewood phase, do you kind of just draw it out and then build something and see how it shoots, or do you do something like in SolidWorks and then examine all the angles, or how does that really work when just getting to that point in designing a pinball?
So yeah, we'll put together a CAD file and just see what looks right. And once it looks right to me, I'll hand it off to this guy. He'll put it in SolidWorks. We will order the prototype parts. We'll build, if there's something that specifically we need to test, we will build just that on a whitewood. We'll put it on test. We'll see how it shoots. We'll see how reliable it is, and just if it works for what we need it for. And then once that happens, we'll lock it in.
Keith's phrase this entire development cycle was it had to be kinetically satisfying. So I had to figure out what that actually meant, because pleasing that guy is pretty hard. So
We've got one more question here.
Great game, guys. Real quick question. Are you guys working together on something new, together, separate? What's in the future that you guys have for us, individually or as a whole?
Yes. Yeah, we're breaking up the band. No, I'm not sure yet. So as soon as this project lands, we'll get our next assignment, and hopefully we're all together again.
Jeremy and I are already working on something together.
The tribute band.
But this time I'm doing the sound and he's doing the art.
It's Freaky Friday.
I'm certain later when we're all washed up, we'll have a reunion. Worst case scenario.
This is actually the first time the entire design team has been in the same room together, because
True
someone
story.
is never here.
Sorry, I got to get work done. I'm slow. True story. Two of these guys I just met today. I've never seen them before in my life, and one of them's Keith.
I will be moving to more towards the systems role so that we can bring the display you're getting in Iron Maiden to all of the Stern games.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Wow, what a fun panel. It was not only fun, but informative as well. And I'd really like to thank the Stern Pinball Iron Maiden Legacy of the Beast design team for being at the 2018 Midwest Gaming Classic. And that's it for this week's show. Thank you very much for either watching or listening. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time, take care, stay safe, and game on.
When you decide to come out to this type of function, this type of experience, this type of gathering, Marvel phenomenon, there is only one event to attend, the Midwest Gaming Classic, where you and the games are one. Midwest Gaming Classic. It's not just child's play.